What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about how you can be a great route runner. We're going to be talking about 3 specific key things that you guys need to be able to do on every single route that you can run on the route tree to be able to be a successful route runner, be a great route runner, and take your route running to that next level. So I hope this video gives you guys some value, but also, fellas, if you guys are looking for specific drills all organized into a plan with specific sets and reps to improve your route running and press releases, check out that very first link in the description, fellas, for our route running Bible. What this is a full hour and a half, over an hour and a half's worth of content on improving your route running and our 20 press release program. So what you would get is a 49-minute video on how to improve your route running in 10 days. And then you get a 48-minute video on our 20 press releases, when to use those releases, and drills to work on those releases. So all the drills that we give you are specifically broken down into sets, reps, how you guys can use them, how often you need to use them, and how that can help your game improve. So very first link in the description on that, fellas. Let's get started. So this router is going to be by Calvin Ridley when he was at Alabama. So this is a perfect textbook example of the first thing that all great route runners have is they have a great stem and they have a great break point, right? Because this DB is a talented DB, right? He does not shoot way by, and he actually plays this rep really well. But because I run a perfect route, that's what gets me some separation. So the 2 main keys is stem and break point, right? That's what's going to get you separation. And then the next clip, we're going to be talking about how you can keep separation and what a lot of guys don't do. So when we get to this position right here, and I'm able to get this DB to turn his hips and run with me, the main thing is exactly what Ridley has right here, great pad level, right? If you can have good pad level coming through, aka body language, that's what's going to force that DB to turn his hips and go if you have good speed. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be fast. It means that you need to be running as hard as you can, right? So there are some times where, like, yes, you could change up tempo on a route. Yes, you could give like a little skip and maybe brace for a play, but that's more like when you're making a move at the top of the route. When it's a situation like this, dude, you got to be able to go full speed, drop your hips, and then be able to get out of this route, because that's what's going to turn this DB's hip. All great route runners, everybody plays the game differently. Everybody's in different offensive systems, right? What they ask Julio Jones to do is a lot different from what they ask Davante Adams to do, right? They're both different receivers. They're both in different types of offenses, but the main thing that remains consistent are the ones that we're going to talk about today. And number 1 is this stem, right? This is something that's so underrated. So many guys make this mistake that they'll be going up to the break point, and what they'll do is this chest will start to raise up. They'll start to lean back because that's what's slowing them down. AKA what that'll do is that'll expose their number, especially if this DB is like an off man and he's watching your hips and he sees your pad level rise. He's just going to sit right on this thing and just be able to brace for this route, right? So it's got to be the same freaking pad level all the way throughout this thing. Now, if a DB's hip to hip with you, where's he watching? He's watching your hips. So if he starts to feel your hips start to rise and you start to slow down your feet, then he's going to slow down his feet and be able to sit on this thing, right? How we get him to shoot way by, and not even in this case way by, because this DB played this thing really well. How we get him to shoot way by is by not giving any indicators and staying in stride. You see how when Ridley makes this break, it's like, it almost looks like he's reaching for it, but that's just his normal stride when he runs. That's how we got to be able to, that's what we got to be able to do in this stem. 3 phases of a route. The first 2 phases are stem and then break point, right? So the stem, you got to be in stride, you got to sell vertical, and you got to keep a good 45, not 45 degree, but just about 45 degree pad level to sell with your body language, right? And you don't want to raise your eyes up. You don't want to be looking down. You want to be looking straight forward. In some cases, you could almost like tuck that chin. You see guys like Julio Jones do that a lot to really get this guy to commit on the fade. Now, how I stop when I'm going on a dime and I'm actually in stride is you got to be violent with your hips. You see how low Ridley's dropping in this case, and you see where his chin is going. You see how his chin drops to his knee. But that's not because he's bending at his waist. He's dropping his hips. Now, you don't want to be on your heels when you drop your hips. You want to be almost going forward. You want to be going forward with your weight and just almost like think of it like a guillotine, those things that they use in the olden days to cut those dudes, like they just cut their head off, let that thing drop. That's how you want to think of your pad level, just a drop right now. It's just a straight drop, and it's got to be sudden. It's got to be quick, and it's got to be off of that great vertical stem that we were just talking about. That's the only way you decelerate. If you guys try to beat the drum right here and you guys try to slow yourself way down, yeah, you might slow down. Yeah, you might be at the depth of the route, but A, it's not explosive. So the DB is not going to be able to shoot way by you because he's going to see that indicator and he's going to sit on this thing. And B, you won't be able to get a ton of separation. It just won't happen that way. You won't have that explosion at the top of the route that we need. It's not just about stopping. It's about putting yourself in that explosive spot to where you can create energy, and that's what we're going to be talking about next. Watch the thing again, full speed. So number 1 key, how you can be a great route runner. You got to have a great stem and you got to have a great break point. Those are the 2 key things. Now, if it's just a single speed cut, the same principle applies. You want to have that same speed into the break, and you want to be able to pop that cut off suddenly, have that explosion, be able to take you to that next part of the route, which is what we're going to talk about next. Watch the thing full speed. So great job pushing vertical, then dropping those hips right down and coming back to that ball. And you see the DB did not play that thing horribly, fellas. He was still right there, but those little details skills is what makes you a great route runner instead of just a good route runner, right? A good route runner drops, but that DB's all over it because he saw that indicator. A great route runner is in stride, good pad level, good speed, drops right now. DB has no time to react, and then we make this play on the ball. It's a great job by Calvin Ridley. So now, let's take a look at this route. Now, this is the second thing that's going to make you a great route runner that so many guys don't do. So let's watch at full speed. So when we come out of this break here, fellas, when we drop down, it's so important that I accelerate. And you want to think of this spot right here as like a finish line. Like you're running a 100-meter in track and you're trying to run through that line and you're trying to beat that guy next to you. And that guy next to you is that DB. You got to think of it. And that's what we call the third phase of the route, the acceleration phase. Okay, so now, when I come off here and when I get to this break point, right, this is the exact same break point that we were talking about. You see how it looks like he's almost reaching, but that's just his normal stride. He's not dragging this back leg a ton. He drags it just a little bit. I'm not too mad at that because it's not like that's a drag to slow him down. It's more so just like a drag because I feel like maybe he did reach a little bit on this one, and that's why we have that drag. But I'm not too mad at the drag just simply because it wasn't like he gave a huge indicator. The drop was still sudden. You know what I mean? Like right here, it was still a sudden drop, and we got low. And what the problem with the drag is when you reach out before you actually drop your hips and then you start to lean back and you give a huge indicator to the DB. That's when I have a problem with the drag. In this case, it's okay. It's not like it's not the end of the world. I would like to get rid of it. But again, I just wanted to make sure I addressed that. So now, when I get to this low explosive spot, this is the same spot Ridley was getting to, right? Where does his chin go? He's here and it's just a drop. Chin goes to his knee. He's not bending at his waist. He's dropping at his hips. His weight is going down, right? So when I could go down like this is like, think of it like a 40-yard dash, fellas, right? So like for the first 5 to 10 yards, you want to stay low and you want to be powerful, right? And then the last 30 yards, you want to hit that top speed, stand up and run. Think of that on your route. This is like the first 10 yards right here. You want to drop and get to that explosive spot so you can hit that top speed, which is the acceleration out of the break. That energy you created with your hips shoots you out and accelerates you out, right? So it's not just about stopping. I don't want to stop and get stuck and then have to get all that energy again and then start to have to run. I don't want to start the route, stop the route, then start again. I want to stop the route, create energy with my hips and create energy with how low I get, then continue on the route and actually accelerate and win the race to the ball, because anybody could get a DB to do this. Anybody. I'm telling you this right now. From whatever level of receiver you're at, anybody can get separation on a DB. Can you keep the separation? Can you run to the ball? And that's exactly what this example shows right here. We got to make sure that we accelerate to the ball. It is a race to the ball no matter what. Even if you're running a route against zone coverage. Like let's say maybe we're here. Let's say we're out of the slot. And let's say this DB's way off. Maybe it's like a safety and you got to run a 10-yard out. Your break point is here. You got to sell vertical to that spot, and then you got to win the race to that spot. That's as simple as day as it can get. So you've got to make sure that we accelerate. We sell vertical, number one. Create energy with the break. That was the first thing we talked about. And then number three, the acceleration phase is one of the most important phases of the route because you got to win the race to the ball, especially when the quarterback knows that you're going to be accelerating right here. He could get it out early, and he could put it to that spot. He doesn't have to laser everything in there. Take it from a guy who played quarterback. Dude, I would love it when guys would run out of the break because, okay, I know he's accelerating now. I could throw this thing. I could throw him open because I know he's running off that break point. That's what we need. That's the second key to being a great route runner is you got to be able to accelerate. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job pushing over the middle. Violent hips. Use that violent drop and how low you got to create that energy so you can get upfield. So now we're going to be talking about off the line of scrimmage. We can't talk about route running without being able to get off a press. And we're going to be talking about the main key that a lot of people don't understand, and it's being sudden. So what does that actually mean? What does being sudden actually mean? So we're looking at this like split release right here. So let's watch the thing full speed. So it gets a split, gets that DB to miss, and then we're up on this slant route. So main keys on this is like, fellas, this quick twitch right here, like you being able to just be able to go from 0 to 100 and being sudden like that, that's so beneficial off the line because that sudden movement is something that a DB can't prepare for, right? And then when you have that sudden movement, then when you change up tempo and when you're maybe doing like a little hezzy release, kind of a skip release, slide release, whatever it is, that's when it can actually work. But if you just start out with everything's being super slow, DB ain't going to bite on it, right? We want to force a reaction out of him. And that sudden movement forces the reaction. That sudden movement forces him to think, oh shit, I gotta make a play. I gotta get hands. That's what we're trying to think of right now. So with this split release, you see it's like a patient release. He's coming to balance, but how sudden his feet are. It's a sudden movement because that sudden movement forces him to think, oh, he's going one direction. He's going there quick. He's going there fast. I gotta react. It's all quick twitch, fellas. That's why it's so important to work those fast twitch exercises as a receiver and build that explosiveness and build that power because the suddenness off the line is what forces a DB to react. and it sets up so many other things throughout the game, throughout the practice, throughout the season, whatever it might be. So that's the third thing that's going to make you a great route runner is no matter what you do off the line, you want to be sudden. Because even if you go with the hesitation release, like let's say I go with the slide release, this is patient, but then when you make a 1-2 and then you burst up vertical, or you make an out then in move, or you make an in then out move and you burst to the inside, the thing with that is that in then out move is sudden. And then that suddenness has to create that explosion to where you get out of this break. It's patient, then sudden, or it's just sudden, then I go. So you've got to make sure that everything you do off the line of scrimmage is explosive, because that's how you're going to be able to beat press consistently. That's how you'll be able to beat kind of a soft press coverage, a catch technique, and even off man coverage where you got to attack the leverage and then make a move. So being sudden is the third key to being a great route runner. Let's watch the thing again full speed one more time. Great job with this split release here, being sudden, bursting up to the route, and then catching this slant over the middle. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. I will get back to you as soon as possible. And again, fellas, over an hour and a half, over 1.5 hours of specific route running content with specific drills, sets, and reps all broken down for you into 2 specific videos, one 48-minute video, one 49-minute long video. Very first link in the description, fellas, for our route running Bible. Hope we get you guys on that soon. I'll see you guys next time.